War Eagle Auburn family, and welcome to everybody else from other persuasions and fan bases. This is the E2C Network, where we cover a lot about Auburn sports, but if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay, whether that be on Facebook or Twitter or however else you get here, mainly on YouTube. We appreciate you hanging out with us for your hard-earned and so valued time. On this live stream, we're going to be reacting to the news of March Madness in general, but more specifically for the Auburn purposes, the Auburn #2 Tigers. Weird way of saying it, but the #2 seed Auburn Tigers taking on the Jacksonville State Gamecocks in Greenville, South Carolina on Friday for the first round of the NCAA Tournament. We're going to be reacting. We're going to be discussing all of that. That's what's in store for you, and a lot of housekeeping. We got a lot of news to tell you about content for this week, a contest we've got running officially as of the start of this show. We're going to be talking about all of that as we get into the meat and potatoes of tonight. Now, I do want to go ahead and open up our show as we always do with our check-in. If you are right now watching live, even if you're watching on the replay, we'd love to know where you're watching from, city, state, international with a War Eagle. If you're a fan of somebody else, I guess you can throw your little chants and cheers and stuff in there if you'd like to. You are more than welcome to do that, but we want to do our check-in right now. Let me know who is watching and who's hanging out with me on this live stream. Let me go ahead and open up the discussion point, and then we'll get into some of your comments as you guys are kind of doing that. The #2 seed Auburn Tigers, a lot of us, I think, were hopeful that we would get a #1 seed the way the season had been going, the way we had performed in the final stretch of the regular season and with the very early exit in the SEC tournament. That pretty much guaranteed that we would not get the #1 overall seed, although crazier things have happened, right? We'll take on a familiar opponent in Jacksonville State in a very close proximity to Auburn, to Jacksonville State. I think it's going to be a very well-attended game. I might even be trying to get there myself. We'll maybe talk a little bit about that too. So that's the table that is set. We will discuss that and anything you kind of want to around that particular topic. But let's say hello to a lot of you that are already here. If you are, please do make sure that you smash that like button. Want to know who's here, obviously hanging out. But obviously, if you can hit that like button, it does help the stream out. All right, we got Neil. What's going on? Thomas, Linda. From Panama City Beach. We got Dustin in Pensacola, Neil from Cobb, Bill from Madison. A&M got screwed is what he says. I mean, like, I haven't looked that far yet into the tournament bracket, to be honest with you, but I would imagine there are probably some unhappy fan bases across the board there. Neil says, congrats to Tennessee for winning the SEC tournament. Well-deserved. Also happy for ATM. I guess you're talking about Texas A&M. So one person's happy saying the other, they did not get a good thing for them. So I'm trying to look real quick since you guys have already brought it up. I know we want to focus on Auburn here, but really once I saw the Auburn one come through, I didn't really look any further. So I guess they are one of the play-in games is what I'm seeing here if it's not showing up. Let's see, Texas A&M at Texas Southern. Woo! Man, oh no, that's Texas A&M CC I'm seeing. Never mind. I'll find them on here in a little bit. You guys can write in the comment section what they are, but want to focus a little bit more on Auburn stuff right now. Did you go live after the Auburn loss? I did, Bill. I always go live after the games unless there's just some other particular thing going on. That will be the case this week as well. Win or lose, we'll go live usually right after if I'm on the road. Might be this week. Maybe we'll find out. I'm trying to get there. If I'm on the road, then it'll probably be a few minutes to an hour after that, just because of logistics of setting up road equipment and that nature, leaving the arena. So we'll see what happens there. Texas A&M not in at all. Wow. I will address this. We're going to do a little bit more in-depth March Madness discussion in the coming days this week. A lot of March Madness content for you week. I got a little flyer I want to show you here in just a minute. I think you're going to want to pay attention to in terms of keeping up with what we've got going on this week. So we'll probably discuss that a little bit more in detail. But that is a bit of a that's tough. I mean, I think if they had obviously won, they would have been an automatic bid. But the way they came on strong in the SEC tournament, I think they probably deserve to be there. not in there. They are in the last 4 out, so they technically haven't made the tournament. Gotcha. 17 and 14, Michigan made it over them. That is interesting. They are not having a good year perception wise, but also, just the way we typically have them there. The lack of respect for the SEC today was wild. The SEC beat up on itself a whole lot, as it tends to do, and I think that affects people's opinions about the teams that come into it. So that could have played it there. Did anybody think Auburn had a chance to be a number 1 seed overall legitimately? Like, over all of the number 1 seeds that there were, there's Baylor, Gonzaga, Arizona, and Kansas, who is in our bracket. Did you think Auburn had a solid case to be a number 1 over any of them? I think the best one is probably Baylor, that they would have a case over, maybe a Kansas to Gonzaga. You can say they have a case, but as most people have shown throughout the entire season, there's a particular bias toward Gonzaga, and they can do no wrong when you lose to St. Mary's. I think it was on their home court too. That shouldn't really give you that much of a leeway. What other SEC teams were left out? Neil, I haven't had a chance to, like I said, really look hardcore at this just yet. I know Alabama, LSU, Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee are definitely in there. We've heard that Texas A&M is now out. I'm trying to take a quick scan over here on the side, just trying to see if I can see anything else. If you want to count Texas, there'll be an SEC team soon. If you want to count that. I don't necessarily count that, but yeah. So interesting play-in games now that I'm seeing that. Notre Dame at Rutgers, Wyoming to Indiana. Those will be interesting matchups. A lot more to talk about on that. Unbeaten Lake says, I will admit it, that I am nervous about playing Jacksonville State. Maybe it's because of the 2015 game. Well, that was football. It has nothing to do with it. I think that, pretty much everybody that is in the tournament deserves to be there. We can debate a few here or there. We've already kind of done that a little bit about some certain teams versus another, but you're basically playing good basketball teams. So anybody is fair game at this point. There is a precedent, not a historically long precedent, but it's happened more times than I would love for it to happen. A 2 seed falling to a 15 seed. So there's that to consider. Hometown kind of feeling going on. That's at play as well. There's some things that could make you worried about outside of just, X's and O's basketball stuff, worried about the 15-2 matchup with Jacksonville. I think there's gonna be a lot of energy at that. I thought Bama was NIT bound. No, they made it in. They made it in by the skin of their teeth. Arkansas is in. Corey, good to see you. A 6 seed. Yeah. Probably a little generous for them to give a 6 seed there. But again, depends on how you want to look at it. Most people are saying that there was a little bit of unfairness to the SEC, but you got to include Bama with that. So did they give them a little bit of extra help and nobody else? It remains to be seen. So initial reactions, thoughts about Jacksonville State. Does anybody watch Jacksonville State at all this year? Any thoughts on them? Has anybody got any insight? That's what I'd love to hear from you guys on. If you got any of that. I don't. I will probably go back and obviously analyze them now and talk about that. So while we're kind of mulling over some of those thoughts and reactions, keep them coming. I want to give you guys, since we're about 10 minutes in now, a heads up on some housekeeping stuff to keep in mind for this week. Lots of fun things going on for March Madness week. Now, you will have some of our more regularly scheduled content, typical podcasts. Equestrian will still come out this week. You never know, you might have something else. But in terms of basketball specific stuff, I've got a couple things that I want to make you aware of. First and foremost, at the top of the chat right now, you can also find it in the description, is our link to our official bracket challenge. You can participate along with us, myself, many others, in a who can have the best bracket challenge. Click that link. If you choose to click that right now, that's fine. We hope you'll come back, but you will need to use the password Peacock. We have known that that's become a big thing for us as Auburn fans the last couple of weeks and months. The password is Peacock. You can get in, and there is a prize at the end of it. So make sure there's going to be a video we put out tomorrow kind of detailing the prize and stuff. I think there's a couple of rules on how you're supposed to do these things when you announce them on YouTube and stuff like that. So I want to make sure we do that in an official video, giving you the rules and all that kind of stuff to make sure we don't get in trouble. But it is open. Click the link either now, after you will need to use the term Peacock, the password Peacock to get in to that group and participate with us to win the prize. And I will tell you, if I did my math right, it is a $50 value of a prize. So you don't want to miss on it. Invite your friends, invite your family. It's open mainly to Auburn fans, but anybody can join if they'd like to get in on the prize. Also, let me go ahead and make you aware of the schedule for this week with E2C Network and March Madness. Tomorrow night, we're getting back on here, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We are going to build a bracket together. We're going to go through each of those and just have some fun with it. There may be a little bit of good analysis. There may be a little bit of bad analysis. We're going to have fun with it, but we're going to build a bracket together, go through each of those as rapidly as we can, because I know that's a long one, and make a bracket together. We've also got Inside the Jungle, our podcast, coming out this week. It's going to be available Tuesday, usually around midnight is when they go live, but obviously that could be subject to change, but it will be available Tuesday. So check that out. Call-in show, as we usually do on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. You can call in. We will obviously still be talking a lot about this, so keep that in mind. But anything is really fair game when you call into the show, and your comments and questions are a big part of that as well. Thursday night, 8 p.m. A little tentative at this moment, but that's what we're planning on. We're going to do our official first round preview the night before the Jacksonville State game. We're going to talk about it in a little bit more detail, but I'm sure we'll be doing that a lot throughout this week. And then finally, as we've already addressed at length at the beginning of the show, we will be doing post-game reactions, usually immediately right after the game. If I'm there, it will be give or take some time to let me get back to a situation where I can go live for you guys after the show. So that is your contest. Get in using the link, the password Peacock, and using that schedule that I've given you. You've got an anticipation of what to expect from us this week, but it's always good to be subscribed, have that notification bell marked as well, so you don't miss any updates, any uploads, any live streams. Don't miss them. Make sure you take part in all of that stuff. All right. I know that was a lot of stuff to throw at you guys. Took a lot out of my throat as well. But let's get back to some of y'all's comments, questions, and derogatory rebuttal. Wish they would trade Texas A&M for Alabama. I think we all would. I think Texas A&M earned it a little bit more than Alabama. Based off of SEC tournament performance, we can make that statement. But Alabama, to their credit, did have some pretty impressive wins this season. So that's probably what really propelled them to a 6th seed, but into the tournament regardless. It's amazing how much trouble LSU and AU got in, yet Bama got nothing from the same investigation. Are you shocked by that, Dusty? Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. Bama definitely did not deserve to get in. No harsh feelings being shared here tonight. And Neil says he is worried about Jacksonville State. Dusty is not, though. 82-68. Already throwing out predictions for the game. I'm going to save my prediction time for a little bit later in the week. You guys obviously helped me do that. I really hope KD gets things figured out. He hasn't been the same shooter since he injured his finger in the Georgia game. That can definitely play. Obviously a shooter has to have their hands feeling really good. That can affect it a little bit. But I would hope that this is gone by enough time that's not going to affect him now. I wouldn't call him being in a funk, because he's had some recent good games where he put us on his back. That was just a really bad game for him. It happens from time to time. The good thing is he got it out of his system now, and the statistical likelihood of having that bad of a game again, pretty low now that he's already gotten that one out of the way. Great point, Harrison. UAB is in the tournament. So let's think about this. The state of Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, Jacksonville State, and UAB are all in the tournament. That's an incredible representation of Alabama. I haven't looked any further to see. I didn't see Troy. I didn't see South Alabama. I don't think that they're in there. No North Alabama, unless I've missed them. Just initial scanning here, but Alabama is just well represented in this March Madness, which it's a really nice thing to see. Corey says, tell Austin and Clint to get on tomorrow night, Kyle. We might have some special guests. Maybe not some ones that you're used to, but we might have some special guests. We will see. They're trying to see if they can make it work with their schedule. Austin and Clint always know they have an open door policy, as most of our contributors do of the E2C network. Not most, all of them do. Open door policy if they'd like to be part of these live streams. So if you want them here, you need to start nagging them and tell them to be here, because I told them they can be here. Am I not good enough? It hurts my feelings just a little bit. Poor corn dogs. Oh, you're not worried, Neil. I'm sorry. I thought I read worried. Sorry, keeping all the comments together sometimes can be a little challenging. Devin checking in. War Eagle, super excited to get to the tournament get underway with the tournament. Looks like we got a good regional. Well, let's just, we're going to do a little bit more analysis of this as the week goes on, but we can take a little bit of a look here. Number 1 seed Kansas. Now, can I give you guys a little bit of heartbreaking for me here? My sister-in-law, who I love her to death, but she's a Kansas fan. She's also an Auburn fan. She went to Auburn, but she has some strong ties to Kansas. And, one of the things that I just love about her is that she's a huge basketball and college basketball March Madness fan. That's like that. And we have to put up with our in-laws together. I'm kidding. We love y'all. We have those two common bonds together. And I think it's going to be sad if Kansas and Auburn end up together at the end of this thing, because first of all, we've done that already. We've done this in March Madness recently. I don't really want to have that happen again, but it might end up that way. You got Miami, who I remember correctly did a few good things in their ACC tournament. Wisconsin is probably the team that scares you the most. I'm kind of glad that we're getting this LSU team, so it's going to go one of two different ways if you run into them. They're either really fired up to play in honor of Will Wade for even though he got fired, or they're really just out of whack. Providence is going to be a tough one too. Iowa is also going to be tough, and it's not an easy bracket, just kind of initially looking at it, but it is not not the hardest out there, is basically what I'm trying to get across there. Yes, all of that in the tournament is amazing, Neil. Brady coming back. Is that official, Dusty? I don't know what that has to do with March Madness. I waited all dang season for the NCAA tournament to get here. It's finally here. Isn't that the great thing? I am so excited. This is, as I've told you guys, and I hope it comes through here on this channel, I am by far and away a football fan first and foremost, but there is just something magical and something amazing about the NCAA tournament and March Madness. It is especially these first 4 days, the first and second rounds. There's nothing like it. From sun up to not sun up, basically the early mid-morning to sundown and beyond, there's basketball galore on TV that matters. It all matters. None of these little rinky-dink games. Every game matters. Every bounce of the ball matters. Every just weird thing that happens, it matters. And that's what makes this such an amazing tournament. 68 teams all vying for the same thing, putting it all out there on the line. And our Auburn Tigers are amongst that as the number 2 seed in the Midwest region, I believe is where we're at. Correct me if I'm wrong, viewers, but I believe it is the Midwest region. Greenville, South Carolina is a pretty good location for us as Auburn fans. So just know that when I get off here, I will be trying to tie up some loose ends to make sure that I can potentially be in Greenville, South Carolina for at least game 1, maybe game 2. We shall see. I would rather have this one than the one Bama is in. Well, let's mosey on over there and go look at it. Alabama is waiting to find out who they will compete against. An 11 seed, right? Yeah, so Rutgers or Notre Dame. They're in Michigan State. You don't want to be in Tom Izzo's bracket, even at a 7 seed. You never want to be there. Duke, yeah, Arkansas, UConn, and Gonzaga. As much as we've maligned them this season, you got to give them credit where credit is due. Unbeaten Lake, I think it was the best thing to lose to A&M. We thought A&M would be easier than Florida, and they ended up shutting down our offense and hit their threes. Let's not do that with Jacksonville State because they can shoot. So have you seen them in person? Haven't had a chance to watch them yet, but I will start doing that now this week to see what's going on there. And then, not to look ahead, but let's just assume that the bracket holds as it is expected to be by the seeding. You would probably see a USC, just going by the seeding, a Southern Cal matchup, which would be really good. And Auburn, an East Coast versus West Coast on the East Coast type of matchup would be really fun to see. I don't necessarily subscribe to, I think it was the best thing to lose to A&M, but it all depends on what the team does with that, right? It's not the mistakes that define you. It's what you do with the mistakes. And they made a lot of them in the game. And Texas A&M exploited those and did very well. And as you can see now, a lot of people that weren't wanting to give A&M credit, they made it to the championship game. You got to give them credit against a tough SEC league. Can we agree that we should never have the SEC tournament in Tampa? Those rims are cursed. I think we shouldn't have the SEC tournament in Tampa simply because of logistics. Look, it just makes sense for it to be in either Nashville or for to be in Atlanta. It used to be there all the time, but that's where the football is. You kind of want to go where you anticipate the majority of your teams being there every year. And if you want Kentucky fans coming in droves, you need to put it in. And that's just the reality of what we do. Auburn fans aren't going to be far away from that. Tennessee fans aren't going to. It's closer for Arkansas and Missouri. It's just a central location where it's better suited. WT Gardner, I don't know a lot about JSU. How do we match up with them? I feel we drew an easier path to the Elite Eight. Well, if you want to go out that far with it, you got to get past Wisconsin. You got to get past Jacksonville State, USC, and Miami. But that Wisconsin game, I don't know that LSU is going to be in the right mind to take them down. And as they said on the broadcast for the selection show, slowing Auburn down is one of the things that you can do to beat them. And Wisconsin does love to do that. So could be a super, super challenging matchup in the Sweet 16 to get us over to that side of the bracket to potentially face a number 1 seed, or even a Providence coming out of there. Providence is no joke either. Don't discount the Friars. Brody says, "What's up? Expected us to be the number 2 seed." I don't think this was the biggest shock, but social media would have lost its ever-loving mind in a good way if we had somehow gotten moved up to a number 1 seed. We just didn't have the finish that we needed. Here's the thing. You got to give credit to your opponents that beat you, right? You need to be able to do that. Good sportsmanship. But you also need to be able to recognize that all of that was under our control. We had the opportunity to walk into the SEC tournament still very much and get to maybe even the championship game and have a number 1 seed secured. It was ours for the taking, and we weren't able to do that. You were wrong about the Pigs seed. Let's see, Arkansas. Arkansas was a 4 seed. If you said that, you were correct. Auburn to go far in the tournament will need to find ways to score when 3 ball isn't falling. Can't just keep throwing up low percentage shots. And I will but I will add on to that as well, Chris. Make your free throws. Make your free throws. Make your free throws. Look, it was like 61% or something last game, 64, 61. Not the most horrendous thing I've ever seen Auburn do. But you got to wonder, in those moments, had we knocked down some free throws, what happens? It's much simpler even than 3-point percentage. Auburn is a good enough team that even when they shoot like that 3-point wise, that they can beat the team defensively. What they can do offensively outside of that, just by handling fundamentals. They're way too talented, way too athletic to let that happen again. Was it a good thing for Auburn to lose to get the much-needed rest, Corey? We did talk about that on a previous live stream. That is going to be a benefit of some sorts, but, 2 long layoffs getting you out of rhythm, as I've said before, a rhythmic game needs a rhythm. And I don't know that I would be as comfortable with this much rest. There is no question that rest will be an issue of them going into this first round. Health might be a different thing. Walker Kessler still nursing. I think it was this shoulder, I think is what it was, if I remember correctly. Tom Brady lives in Tampa. He's the reason Auburn lost to Texas A&M. Well, that's quite a ways to get there. Dusty wouldn't be happy with you on that one. Nashville or Birmingham? Birmingham wouldn't be a bad spot, but Nashville makes more sense than Atlanta makes more sense. I would love for it to be in Birmingham. But we get the baseball tournament there usually. So it's kind of like there's a nice triangle, right? You got football in Atlanta, basketball in Nashville, and baseball is in Birmingham, Alabama. It doesn't get much better than that. And it's all within, earshot for Auburn. It's in Nashville for the next 10 years. Maybe it'll had something to do with this COVID this year. I think it had less to do with that, Devin, and it was just an agreement thing that wasn't reached or was reached with Tampa Bay at a time. They've tried it in other areas before. It's just this was a weird year in Tampa. So there you go. Dusty says Tom Brady had nothing to do with Tampa situation because we played like poop on a stick. Thank you for censoring yourself. David, thanks for checking in from Hoover. Apparently Zepp's hometown is a couple hours from Greenville. Pretty cool for him. It absolutely is. Would be nice for a guy like Zepp to have a really good showing in this type of stage. And when we're needing someone to figure out, can they be that magic? You need that guy to kind of step up and be the magical person during the tournament. It was D'Angelo Purifoy at one point, the way he came on at the end of the season. Obviously Bryce Brown, but there needs to be that guy that not everybody was expecting. It could be him. Could be a lot of guys. Devin Cambridge. Could be, Alan Flanagan. A lot of opportunities for guys to see that. What do we play Jacksonville State? Friday. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but I believe I saw that it was Friday. I don't have the time yet if they've announced it. Calipari said they lost to Tennessee because they didn't do a shoot around. Well, Calipari is just full of excuses this year. Oh, my goodness. He's back again. I'm going to nix the Tom Brady talk. I'm kidding. Who is the first number one to fall? Great question. I want y'all to save some of these. Remember, for those of that you are getting here a little bit late, we're going to be doing a live show tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time where we build a bracket together. We're going to do it all together from start to finish. We'll try to move as fast as possible, but we'll talk about it. We're going to just have fun with it. And it won't be my official bracket. I hope that you'll make your own and join our bracket challenge, which is over. It's the link in the top of the chat right now. Use the password Peacock, but we're going to just have fun with it and do it together. We'll probably just take like a unofficial poll in the chat. Who wins this one and why? And then we'll move forward and we'll get down to a champion. We'll just have fun with it. Baylor is the first to fall. So like I said, we'll talk a little bit more in detail about that. Baylor could be, I don't know. There's something about Gonzaga. I've never counted on Gonzaga to go very far. And the 1 year that I, didn't count on them to do it, they did it last year. They didn't win it all. But I think Gonzaga is a prime candidate for that. If I want to have my orange and blue glasses on, Kansas is because of playing Auburn. Gonzaga, W.T. Gardner says. So that's always the fun question to ask. Who's going to be the first number one team to fall? Let me ask you guys, who's going to be the number two team to fall? Who's the number two? The first number two team to fall. Who will that be? Is it going to be Auburn? I don't think so. just by looking at it right here. Duke would have to play Michigan State and then Texas Tech likely. That's a tough matchup. Kentucky would have to play Purdue. That's a tough one for them. So I don't know. I'm a Villanova, Ohio State. I think Villanova is probably okay, even though they've got to take on Loyola Chicago. They looked pretty good in that early season tournament that we played in. There's a lot of opportunities. Everybody's saying Duke. Look, here's the one thing that I want to mention. I do not like Duke, but I respect the heck out of Coach Calipari. And there's a small part of me that kind of wants to see something a little magical happen with it for his final season. I'm not saying Final Four. I'm not even saying, that I won't say that far. Like if they get to the Elite Eight, I think that's a good way for him to go out and, if in an Elite Eight situation, they'd probably find Texas Tech at the end of that. Would it be Texas Tech? No, it would be probably Gonzaga or Arkansas. I think the question is, who's the first crappy team to get lucky? Alabama. They will have the luxury of playing someone who will have played an extra game before them. So that will be something to keep in mind. They will have that benefit. They'll have extra tape and an extra leg or two. Duke will be the first number 2 to fall. I know there's a lot of Duke hate, but you got to respect what Coach Cal has done over the last couple of many, many, many years. Thank you. We got War Eagle Kevin. We get a chance to win it all, and that's all you can ask for. You said Calipari. It's Coach K. I'm sorry. They all run together at this point. So many things, so many names, so many teams to keep together. It happens, right? So I'm going to put my headphones on because we might have a guest pop in. I'm not exactly sure if they said that they were going to be able to do it, but what I will allow everybody to do, just kind of on the spur of the moment thing, is if you'd like to call in, I'm putting the link in the chat right now. Now, the link at the top is for our bracket challenge. Use the password Peacock to take that one to join the bracket challenge. But I have put it in the chat right now. If you'd like to click that and be on camera, off camera, I will take some comments and questions if you'd like to tonight. No pressure whatsoever. I just want you guys to have that availability from time to time. Brandon, sorry I'm late. Showing up. Tip time announced yet in Greenville? I have not heard the tip time announced yet, but I've been going live for about 30 minutes now, a little over 30 minutes. And so I haven't been focused in on the news. Once we get done with our live stream here, I will kind of sit back, kind of absorb everything. And I'm going to try to get logistically my weekend potentially figured out if I'm going to be able to attend that game or not. For years, Auburn basketball was a so I would pull for Kentucky in the tournament since they're in the SEC. My other team to pull for was Duke, since I love Coach K. Linda, sorry to see you go, but thanks for hanging out with us tonight on the live stream. Yeah, it's Auburn for the longest time hasn't been able to enjoy, a fun time in the NCAA tournament, and that all changed about 2-3 years ago with Bruce Pearl making us a perennial power there, and not a perennial power because it hasn't happened that often yet, but at least relevant when it comes to postseason play with March Madness. What would it be like to have a rematch with Murray State? I think it would have been heart-wrenching for everybody on social media. Most of you know that we built a relationship, a fun little friendship with several of their fans, their Twitter account, their players over this season with the whole Peacock movement. And it would have been probably gut-wrenching for that relationship because we would have had to try to bury them again. But it sure would have been a fun thing to do. Thank you, Devin, for clarifying. No tip time announced yet. I would imagine those are still getting finalized to figure out how best it flows, but at least we know it's a Friday game. I'll be honest with you. I was kind of hoping for a Friday game, just selfishly for my own schedule. But I don't know. I would like a day to just sit back and relax and not worry about the Auburn aspect of it. And we're going to get that on Thursday now. So I know when I wake up, I'm going to get in my little easy chair recliner, pull it up extra close to the big screen TV I have downstairs. And then we're going to sit there for a long time enjoying basketball. It's going to be so fun. We'll go live again on on Thursday, as I said, for a preview show, but I'm going to be watching a lot of basketball. You'll be there for round one. Glad it's only about an hour and a half away. That's part of the reason why I'm considering going, because it's not that close, but it's closer. Still trying to work out some details. It's an opportunity that can't be missed. I'm hedging a lot of bets to go to the Final Four if we make it. But I think I can swing going to Greenville, South Carolina, which is not far at all to me. So if a lot of you are there, I'd love to do like a little impromptu meetup, say hello, shake some hands, hug some necks, all that good stuff, and say hello to a lot of you there if you're going to attend. I think it would be fun to do something like that on the road in Greenville, South Carolina. You know, Auburn has gotten shafted in the past with some of their where they had to play their initial round games. They had to play all the way out in LA. Then I think it was San Jose for the Final Four run. It was was it California or was it Phoenix? I know it was out west, and then we came to St. Louis, and then we had to go up to Minnesota. So it was like, come closer to Auburn, come closer, and then it just took like a big L trajectory back up to the Midwest. We will start off in Greenville, and being in the Midwest, I'm not exactly sure where that last game will be played for that regional, but you know, the tournament is in New Orleans, the Final Four part of it, so that'll be fun. All right, what else is on your mind? Comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals about Auburn being number 2, taking on number 15, Jacksonville State. It feels like this was like a setup for us to play someone that is we have a lot of familiarity with, at least regionally. It's a great thing for the state of Alabama. There will be a lot of hype about that one this week. Let me remind you again, March Madness Bracket Challenge. Link is in the top of the chat right now if you're watching live. But you can also find it in the description of this video. We'll be sharing it on social media. Do us a favor. Join it yourself. Use the password Peacock to get in, but invite friends. Let's get that group numbers up really high. We're going to be announcing the prize for that tomorrow in a video that will be here on the channel, and it'll share it out on social media as well. It's a $50 value. $50 value. I think everybody, if you can't use this, we'll work something else out. But I'm pretty sure everybody will like this one. If not, you could give it as a gift to someone else. $50 value, though. And also our schedule for the week as a reminder. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Be here. Let's build a bracket together. Inside the Jungle podcast comes Tuesday. Call-in show Wednesday at 8 o'clock. First round preview tentative right now at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday, and then post-game shows after any and all basketball games, either right after or as soon as I can get set up if I'm on the road in Greenville, which I hope to be. So that's why I said tentative there. Corey, I think Villanova will be the first number 2 seed to die. Wow, I took it a little bit extreme there. But hey, you know, Villanova, Delaware, Loyola Chicago. That's the one thing that they have working against them, I think, in those first 2 games. Loyola Chicago has that March Madness magic that a lot of people want to capture, and there's something about that program that they do it. And they were pretty good when we played them this year. If you remember that. Took us down to the wire, I believe, to beat them after going to overtime with them. If you already have an ESPN account, it doesn't ask for the password. Interesting. Well, there you go. Thank you for sharing that, Dusty. I was not aware of that. Just added the bracket. Spoiler alert, AU wins it all. So here's the great thing about this. Take yourself back to 2019. And remember, we saw Auburn sitting there. We had a magical run in the SEC tournament to win that. Everybody was feeling pretty high on that. But I think most Auburn fans while we wanted to believe Auburn could pull off something magical, you just didn't feel as comfortable putting them in the final game. A lot of people did, and they were right, or the Final Four. This is the year that you finally can write Auburn in the final game, not just the Final Four, and have a legitimate case for it, and you won't be like you're just being a homer. Everybody has seen what they can do. Everybody knows they have the best player in college basketball, hands down. Going to argue that with anybody. It is not far-fetched to say Auburn belongs in the championship game. Now, their trend right now doesn't seem to indicate that, but they are very much capable of that. And isn't that just the best thing ever? Honestly, I will be happy with a Final Four appearance. Well, dang, yeah, I would be too, W.T. Gardner. I would definitely be happy with that. I've said all season, and I still maintain that an Elite Eight should be the expectation appearance. To do that, as we've addressed very briefly here, obviously you've got to take care of business against Jacksonville State, not succumb to the 15-2 curse that happens from time to time. You got to overcome the USC Miami matchup, and then you've got to get out of there after facing Wisconsin. It's a tough road to the Elite Eight, but I think if we can get there, while we'll be upset with that, I think most Auburn fans will have taken the whole thing in its context and be able to rationalize and say, kind of in context of everything, Elite Eight appearance wasn't that bad. Not ideal, but it wasn't that bad. So I hope that we're all sitting here talking in a couple of weeks about Auburn in the Elite Eight, so I don't look bad. That's the bad thing about doing live shows. Everything you say is on here, and everything you mention, insinuate can be used against you. Let's see. Wisconsin, that's a tough matchup with the number 3 seed. I'm worried about that one to get there. A lot of you are excited about this Tom Brady news. I'm not super excited about it, but I understand that's everybody's thing there. We're winning the whole thing, Dusty says. And Devin loves the thing. I gotta be honest here. I gotta give some props to Devin. Devin, you have been a light in and many of you others, but I just want to give Devin some props specifically here on Twitter and trying to, there's a difference between being what people call Pollyanna sunshine pumper. That's like overly, but you can be constructively critical and positive, and you've been a shining light of that. So I just want to give you a few props there. I'm not sure that Wisconsin makes it far enough. Ooh. Is it the Colgate matchup that you're worried about for them? Is it the Iowa State matchup, the LSU? Do you think LSU's got it still together after what they've been through? I will say this. If Auburn takes care of business on its first 2 games and it's not Wisconsin in the Sweet 16 with them, I'm going to feel really good about the Elite Eight. Corey says, told you, Kyle, no Virginia. But wouldn't you have wanted that sweet, sweet revenge? I would have. Dusty says, I've said it all this year. Can't back down now. At least you're consistent, right? There's something to be said about consistency when it comes to preaching those things. To preaching that, we're going to win it all, that we've got the ability to do some big things this year. Virginia running away scared. I guess the bigger question now for me is it starts shifting to some thoughts about the game. We'll do a preview show, like I've mentioned, but I wonder how well Jacksonville State will travel to this matchup. We know Auburn's going to travel very, very, very well. But I would love to see, so Jacksonville State fans, alumni, I know a lot of you are Auburn fans, but are alumni of Jacksonville State. No one in particular. I would love to have y'all be there and just pack this arena out and show Alabama pride in the basketball and what we're able to produce out of this state. I think that would be a great showing, just kind of taking a holistic look at it and not just the, Auburn's going to beat Jacksonville State because it's a bigger program. My son definitely helps. He's an eternal optimist. He told me we are winning our next 10 games, so we have a lot to look forward to. So that means we win First round, second round, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, championship game, and the first 3 games of the next season. I'll take it. That's a great start to the season. It's going to be fun. No, because we would not get the same refs. Shaft again. One thing is for sure, whoever does beat Auburn will be the national championship. Always happens. It does feel that way, doesn't it? Mr. Hillcrest, let me, you are correct. Auburn in no way needs to sleep on anybody. If we didn't learn that lesson in the SEC tournament, we're going to be sitting here. If I'm on the road, I'm going to be in front of a camera. We're going to be in a post-game therapy session after being embarrassed. So in no way, Mr. Hillcrest, am I insinuating that we are going to walk over Jacksonville State. But I would say by the pure looking at the chalk of what the bracket is supposed to do by its seeding. That's why they seed them. This is what we expect to happen. These are the teams we expect to be at the end. That's why there's 4 number 1 seeds. We expect all of them at the Final Four. But that's why you play the game. So Jacksonville State is going to become ready to play. While they probably will not seat the amount of fans that I think Auburn will in any capacity, they're going to be there. They're going to be rowdy. And there's a lot of people that want to see Auburn fail. So just think, you're going to have Miami fans there, Southern Cal fans, those that can travel there. A lot of teams want to see Auburn fail because of the success and the rowdiness that we've expressed this season. Devin says, I don't think Bruce lets the boys sleep on anyone. Yeah, there's a certain thing letting them sleep on them and then going out there and laying a goose egg. It's that whole Texas A&M thing wasn't so much of a lack of effort, but it is easy to kind of question what actually went wrong with that type of situation. Just a bad game at the wrong time. Well, or the right time if you want to get it out of your system. Louisville, Oklahoma, Virginia all went on to win the national championship after beating Auburn. It's not a bad point. Not a bad point. And I would counter to that Syracuse as well. Syracuse in the 2001 tournament game, Carmelo Anthony, we were 4 points away, I think, from being in the tournament. Maybe we hit that 3 at the last second. It made it technically a 1-point game as the buzzer went off, but I remember where I was. I was in Atlanta watching. We were on a family trip, and how gut-wrenching that was because we knew Syracuse was good, and we almost took down the mighty Carmelo Anthony. So add that to your list as well. You forgot about the Syracuse game. It's all up here. Was it a 1-point loss? I thought so. I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember if it was a 1-point loss. All right. Has everybody joined that's here? The bracket challenge. I know I've been harping on it, but I want you guys to have a shot at this prize at the end of it. Remember, when you join, if you can make your name something that's easy for me to know who it is, that's great. If not, I understand. Have fun with it. There is an ability for me to send emails to people in the group. Check your junk mail for those, because whenever the winner is announced, I will be contacting you through that of how to get in contact with me for your prize. So those are ways that you can make the process at the end of the bracket challenge easier for me because it's been challenging before. There's been a number one person who won our bracket challenge, never got back to me. I waited for like 2 months and finally said, okay, number 2 gets it. And then number 2 didn't respond. And so number 3 ended up getting the first place prize. So just be careful if you're in it. Make sure you have your junk mail checked, all that kind of stuff. If you make your name easier, then I know where to go find you on social media or something like that. Or I can call you out. Hey, no, you won. Contact me at this. The Mellow game was wild. I cried. Dusty, I feel like I probably did as well. I probably did too. WT Gardner, I only have 2 number 1 seeds making the Final Four. I think it's a pretty good estimation to not expect more than 2 to make it. It usually happens that way. I think it was maybe, was it 2 or 3 seasons ago? 2 seasons ago where all the number 1s made it, which was kind of a shock. Devin, I saw you joined it early. So that was the thing, is we gave a lot of people early access. We started with our Booster Club members. They got super early access. Then the channel members here, then our Facebook group. I started letting in some just people I know personally today that wanted to get in. And so now it's open to everybody. I want a big crowded group in there. If you can join, invite your friends, invite your family. Because look, there's nothing wrong with you having your husband, your wife, your brother, your sister doing one as well, and then y'all can share the prize together. It's very easily shareable, very easy shareable. You blocked that game out. How close we were to making it to the Elite Eight that year, and we were on a pretty good run. I think we played St. John's. I think we had beaten 2 teams that we weren't supposed to beat already. We're like the number 11 seed or something like that. Something similar to that. You're bringing back memories now. All right, we are getting kind of towards the end of our time. Not going away anywhere just yet. Keep your comments and questions coming. If you'd like to call in, you can. I'll post the link one more time. I can take at least 1, maybe 2 calls if you'd like to pop in and say hello, mention anything about this if you'd like to, but keep those comments and questions coming. A couple of reminders, as always, to check out the links in the description for ways you can help support our content. One of those is becoming a channel member here by hitting the join button. Easier to find on a desktop or a regular computer, but you can do it over the mobile. Sometimes it's a little tricky there. Yeah, icons next to your name, access to emojis. It's easier for me to see your comments and questions because you're lit up a little bit more when the chats get a little bit crowded. But it starts at $1 a month. Also in that description links are the links for our bracket challenge, as we've mentioned, where there's going to be a prize at the end of it. I hope you guys will take advantage of that, as we've said. Password Peacock, if it requires you to use the password, which apparently some people didn't have to. And as a reminder again, hope you guys can be here for some, if not all, of our content this week. Tomorrow, I'm really looking forward to that. I hope we have a good crowd there. Let's build a bracket together. We're going to go through each of the matchups one by one, try to move as fast as possible, and play a little bracket March Madness challenge fun together. We'll create a bracket together. We'll decide as a collective who is going to be at the end. It's going to have a little probably arguing in it. We might have some special guests, but we're going to do it together as a group. How that's going to function on screen, I'm still kind of working that out. I'm going to try to be able to share a screen and do it all at the same time, but we'll see how it works out. I'll probably have to do it like on my account, and then I'll have to erase it at the end, so it's not actually my thing. But there's the rest of the schedule for this week. Call-in show Wednesday, a lot of 8 p.m. Eastern times. Typically, when we have scheduled stuff, that's when we like to do it. It seems when a lot of y'all want to do it. So we'll keep doing that at that time if it works best for all of you guys for most of those things. But always stay subscribed with that notification bell so you don't miss anything. Rob Taylor, with Smith and Kessler, I just can't see how a good basketball coach can't make the offense work, not being critical, but I just don't think our best has been shown. I think that's a fair statement. A lot of people have been saying that we peaked too soon. We can have that conversation when the season's over, and then we can definitely say whether we peaked or not, because then you would have a point. This is where we were going the highest point, and this is where we started going down towards the end. There could be several peaks and several valleys throughout the season. Auburn has clearly had a rise at one point and kind of has slowly fallen off, but will it come back up? That's the question. A lot of people talk about getting hot about this time of year. Texas A&M didn't work out for them, to get into the tournament after all. But there is something to that. So you can coach players all you want to do the right things, but they still have to execute. And sometimes they can try to the best of the ability and have the best coaching, and it just doesn't work out. And I know that's like a confounding statement, and it as a former player too, but it's just the truth. Sometimes you just don't have it. Basketball is a rhythmic game. I know that's a weird statement, but it's true. And we were out of rhythm from the get-go in that game. Hope it doesn't happen again. Super excited for tomorrow. That will be fun. Devin, yes, I'm excited to have all of y'all's opinions here. And listen, like I said, us making the bracket together, it may frustrate you at times because you're like, no, don't do that. But we're going to do it as a group. I think it'll be a fun little activities. So many activities. So invite a friend, Get them in here, help them join, help us continue to grow this little family within the Auburn family. Bill says, we got this. I pray the Auburn Friday game is late. I work that day. And that's the bad thing, right? That on Thursdays and Fridays. I am blessed for now to be able to, work from home, doing this kind of stuff. And so that is not a worry for me. And you guys keep the lights on here by being part of the Booster Club and channel members and buying merch and stuff like that. So thank you guys so much for giving me the ability to share all this stuff with you. And so I can have moments like this where I don't have to worry about that. But yes, I hope that for you as well, WT Gardner. Coach Pearl is too good a coach to let us have a letdown. Well, we had a letdown in the tournament. So every good coach has a letdown. Coach Calipari is a good coach, as much as I don't like him. And they have had several letdowns this year. Coach K is an excellent coach, and they have had some pretty bad letdowns. Last game on your home court, that was pretty embarrassing. You want to talk about cringe-worthy stuff? Oh, that was just cringing to watch. Minion Mafia, Bama will exit the first round. I do think that Bama has the benefit of playing a team that's already going to have played one game. So there will be a certain, not fatigue, but rest factor that will come into play with that. But it also could be they're a little bit more in rhythm and geared up. Can go both ways. I would, if Alabama was playing that first four team in the second game, I would say they very much have the legs part of the equation in their favor. Can work several different ways. They'll have to play Notre Dame or Rutgers. Notre Dame traditionally is a pretty good team. Rutgers, I thought, was a lot better than 11 seed this year. So I'm kind of surprised to see them that low. So they very well could be out in the first round. They are highly streaky, but a very good team when they want to be. Even WT Garner, they're a good team. Which team shows up? The one that had the tier 1 wins or the team that lost to UGA? You just don't know, right? Hopefully they have peaked, because we don't want to be dealing with that. Jeffrey, great question. What do you think about a potential second round matchup with USC Miami? I don't like talking about it that much early on, the way our luck has been going, but I don't think it's unfair to say for us as Auburn fans, even the Jacksonville State fans, as much as they love their Gamecocks, will probably say, we're going to have fun, do our best. We're probably going to lose this game. So what do I think about that? I haven't followed Miami and Southern Cal super close this year. I remember seeing Miami do a few good things throughout the season. So I would probably be intrigued with that matchup, but I kind of like the whole Southern Cal versus Auburn thing, East Coast versus West Coast. They definitely wouldn't have the fans there because this will all be in Greenville the way that a Miami might. So I'd probably be, in terms of what's best for Auburn, I'd probably shift more to the Southern Cal matchup, even though they're the higher seed, just kind of thinking about all of that stuff. And Dusty is bringing up the home run hire today by Georgia. Oh, well, listen, Tom Crean, I thought, was a decent coach. Not a good match for Georgia. Mike White's not a bad coach, but it's funny that they had to go steal it from Florida. Kind of tells you something about the state of the Florida basketball program if they're willing to let that guy go. WT, I will not look past the next game. JSU will be a trap game if we look past them. Well, and I don't think that's what Jeffrey was suggesting there. He was just simply asking about that. So no one's looking past that, but it's just kind of the being frank, matter of fact part of the discussion that we should beat them. Let's take care of the business. Important for Katie to have a good first game. Very streaky guy. I would agree. Need to get him, up there. All right. Last minute comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals. Get them in now. I'm going to remind you one more time. I know I've been doing that a lot, but we've got a lot going on this week that I want you to be aware of. First of all, the schedule for this week. If you can, please do come back tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Bring a friend. Let's have some fun and build a bracket together. Inside the Jungle comes out Tuesday, our basketball podcast with Chris and Gray Oldenburg. Make sure you pay attention to that. They'll be talking about Auburn specifically, but they'll definitely be talking about the rest of the bracket. It's going to be a long episode for them. Call-in show on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Want to hear from you guys, your comments and questions as always, but call in if you can and talk to me about what you think about March Madness and all things Auburn. Open to talk about anything. And then the first round preview, we're planning to do this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and then post-game reaction shows after each game. And you never know what else will come out on our channel this week. So make sure you are subscribed, have that notification bell marked so you don't miss anything. And finally, March Madness Bracket Challenge. Use the password Peacock. The link is at the top of the chat in the description. Don't miss out on a $50 value prize at the end of this thing. You don't want to miss it. So I think everybody will like that. And there will be a video coming out likely tomorrow explaining the logistics of all that. It's not super complicated, just kind of giving everybody the details of what they need to know about that. All right, last minute comments and questions. Everybody's celebrating that the ladies are #1 in softball in the SEC. Baseball kind of had a tumultuous night tonight. W.T. Gardner prediction. Flanagan has a game that redeems his season. Game changer. If there's one guy that I want to see have that magical run and become the guy at the end of the game, at the end of the season, is Alan Flanagan. He's been questioned a lot. I'd like for him to silence those doubters. Will that happen? I don't know. But it would be a great thing for that to happen, and appreciate the kind words. And I do this because you guys give me the energy and the drive to. So thank you so much. The thanks always go to you, all our viewers, our listeners, our members of our little family, the Auburn family. You guys are the best. And I hope to see you the rest of the week. It's going to be a fun one. March Madness has arrived, and your Auburn Tigers are a #2 seed. Till we talk to you tomorrow, 8 p.m., be here. Join the Bracket Challenge.